Cheers, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today we are finally talking about Pluto the series. Woo!
Woo! It's about damn time.
It is. It's been a long time coming. So this will be a scene-by-scene breakdown, so that if you've watched our gap discussions, hard stop or blank, this is going to be like that. So we're going to go through every single episode, every single scene, and talk about all the glorious things that are in this show.
So much.
There's so much. It's so
It's a
great.
good show.
It's an amazing show, so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about it. Thank our Patreon. This was their number one show they wanted us to get into next, and here we are. So we're going to do that. We have just a couple of announcements that's Pluto related. So we did watch the whole series together for the first time, so if you'd like to watch us watching it and commentating in reaction videos, there's a couple highlight reels on YouTube. We did the whole series. That's on our Patreon. So for $5 a month, you get access to that. And you get early access to these episodes. Plus, they're ad-free. Plus, there's a lot of cool people over there leaving comments. So you just read the comments, see what we're up to. Have fun over there. If you don't want to spend $5, join our Discord. And there's a bunch of discussions going on about every Thai Girl Love show, all the couples, girl rules, because I'm sure if you're here, you're probably excited about that too. So like there will be discussions of that. You could talk about these episodes. It's a fun time over there. The link to that is in the description. And last Pluto related thing is that we at some point are going to do a merch giveaway for Pluto merch. So like at the end of the series, GMMTV had like a bunch of pre-orders for Pluto specific items. So we are going to do a giveaway. We haven't decided what the giveaway is going to be. We will announce it on our social media, but the items we will be giving away are the mug from the show. Of course it's in the show because it's GMMTV. They're amazing at product placement. So the Pluto mug, and then also the little Pluto candles that are everywhere. They say Pluto on it. I will point them out when they show up in the show. I think it smells like vanilla. But anyway, so we'll be doing giveaways for those. We don't, again, know the terms yet, but like follow us on social media. We'll announce what it is there, and you can follow along and see if you're eligible for the raffle or however we're going to do that.
It's a good time over there.
It's a good time over there. So just we're everywhere at Big Gay Energy Pod. So no matter the social media platform, just look for Big Gay Energy Pod and you'll find us. Just follow us there and we'll announce what the giveaway is once we figure it out. And lastly, as you know, if you're a longtime listener or if you're new here, hi, neither of us are of the Thai culture. We don't know the Thai language. Like, we're learning, but we are not in any way experts, so we're going to mess things up. We're doing our best. As we analyze this, it will be through a white, Western, queer lens, so we're going to miss things. So if we miss things, please correct us in the comments. We do have a correction.
Nicely.
Huh?
Nicely.
Yeah, nicely in the comments. And we do usually do a correction segment at the beginning of the episode to like clarify what we were corrected on. Just please be aware that we record these episodes in advance. So you're not going to get your comment read until like many episodes later. And that's because we film them in advance. Because like, as you can imagine, editing these episodes take a long period of time. So we have to like do it in advance. But we will get to your comments and give you a shout out. So just want to throw that out there now. All right. Are you ready to get into Pluto? Or do you have any other quick announcements, Caitlin?
No, I think it's Pluto time. Pluto deserves its time to shine.
It does. Pluto the planet, and also Pluto this series. But before there was Pluto the series, there was Pluto the novel. So this is part of the Chao Planoy universe. Pluto, I will say at this point, I have read the novel, and so I understand all the people who are like, dang, this is different. It's not us, the series, different, but it's different enough, and we'll get into it. So if you're not looking for book spoilers, this might not be the podcast for you because I am going to kind of give book spoilers as we go through. I'll try to give you a warning so you can skip ahead if you don't want them, but this was a Chao Planoy novel. And GMMTV took it in that they're like, we'll put our spin on this, and that's kind of how we got here. At this stage, I think the episodes are still on YouTube, but I heard that they're moving it over to streaming platforms and taking it off YouTube eventually because money, which, like, I get it. That's how we get more shows.
And GMMTV needs to keep giving us more shows because they're amazing at it.
They are. We've jokingly said this, but it might get more serious as we go on. We might become a GMMTV podcast at some point because just they're banger after banger, every single one of their shows.
Seriously.
Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is a continuation of the Chao Planoy sapphic multiverse, and quick synopsis of Pluto. This stars May, aka Metawi, the brilliant lawyer who captures the hearts of twin sisters Ai-oon and Oaboom. Oh, but wait, it gets messier because not everyone is in the know about who is dating who. Or are they? That's my synopsis of Pluto.
That's your synopsis you wrote? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I thought that was the actual synopsis
No,
for
I
this
wrote
show. Because that is perfect.
So that's Pluto.
Oh
if you haven't seen Pluto at this point, pause this, go watch Pluto, and then come back. So we're going to spoil literally everything, and not in a linear way. So, like, watch all the things before you listen to us.
Yes, no, we spoil it right away.
Spoilers for all of the episodes and book spoilers will be included in this package you're about to judge. But, like, come on the ride, because it's going to be super fun.
Can I just reread that last sentence real quick?
Absolutely.
Oh, but wait, it gets messier. Because not everyone is in the know about who is dating who, even if they're in the couple.
But they're not in the know.
That's
or are they?
Or are they?
What a great show. I will say, as per usual, and as you should expect, the novel's wilder. Because, of course.
Oh my god.
The novel's wilder.
Chao.
Yeah, like, it's like, girl. GMMTV had to humanize a bunch of people in this show.
I don't think I've read a Chao book yet, but I really should.
But I guess you didn't read Blank or Gap.
I've been reading all the MeeMaw.
We read MeeMaw. Oh my god, MeeMaw. Spoiler alert. Somewhere Somehow is fucking hilarious, and we're gonna do a book club on it because it's so funny. MeeMaw is a great writer. Good. I love her. Anyway, we also so we're a GMMTV and a MeeMaw podcast.
GMMTV MeeMaw.
All right. So shall we dive into Pluto? Let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, Pluto the series starts with a time jump into the future, and we get a scene with May and I sitting on the camper, and it's like really cute and romantic, and like not knowing anything that's going on, you're just like, oh my god, they're so cute, and what a bunch of lesbians are out in the middle of the woods, like this is already really gay. Nothing happened
surrounding them.
It's so cute, and there's like lights everywhere. And then, like, I is, like, reading poetry she wrote to May, basically. And if you look carefully in the scene, like, May doesn't have the Pluto necklace yet. So it's coming from another episode before, like, I gives her the Pluto necklace and they, like, have their first time together or whatever in the camper. So this is, like, before that takes place. But during that excursion. And this, coincidentally, is the same night Oom wakes up from the coma, so, like, what an auspicious sign if you know what's happening in the scene.
That was a very homophobic time for Oom to wake up.
Listen! Oom. She did that shit on purpose, let's be honest. Her spidey senses were tingling, and she's like, must wake up. Where's May? Something's wrong.
It's alright, we called that from the very beginning.
Listen, I have a lot of thoughts about Oom, honestly. Oh yeah, spoiler if you're new here, we do a what Taylor Swift song fits this episode at the end, and I was like going through a bunch of them, and I'm just like, this is about Oom. This is about Oom. All these songs are about Oom. What the hell? Like, I have unresolved feelings about Oom. That's all I gotta say. Or is Taylor Swift Oom? I don't know.
It's Taylor Swift Oom! Oh my god. No, I'm still convinced that Taylor Swift should, like, partner with one of these studios to produce a Thai Girl Love, because most of them they all go with her songs, and I feel like her writing part of it too would make it even more messier, and
I want her to co-produce Girl Rules.
Oh my god, and then do like a cameo. I would love that,
and randomly turn it into a musical. That's also on my wish list.
Yeah,
for Girl Rules.
Okay, now that people, you and someone else in the Discord, I think it might have been A-Mix. They were talking about Girl Rules being a musical, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Anyway, back to Pluto. So Ai is not just reading any old poetry. She's reading an excerpt from her journal, like specifically an entry where she's waxing poetic about May, which is on brand for her.
And she does that the whole show.
She does it the whole show. And it ends with just like them being really cute, and like Ai initiates a kiss, like she kisses May. So it's like kind of showing like where they're at this point in their relationship, where like Ai is openly affectionate with May, and like they're very in love and like sweet with each other at this stage before Oom wakes up and fucks up everything. We'll get to that later. All right, but then May, the smart one, helps us understand the title of this series by asking Ai, "What planet do you come from?" To which Ai responds, "Pluto." Okay, so I think we need to take a little pause here and talk about the novel a little bit. So if you don't want to hear about the novel, skip ahead like a couple minutes. But Chao does this thing when she writes where she picks a theme and like really sticks with it. So in this novel, she was really all about the Pluto metaphor. Like it comes up constantly. That was the theme of this book. And I want to explain what she means by that, because I think GMMTV does a good job of like a show don't tell with it, but Chao is like super explicit in the novel about this. All right, so this is an excerpt from the novel where she explains this. This is May who's saying this. "I read about Pluto on a web board. Well, the writer has very advanced thinking, so it got me interested in Pluto." And then May is continuing to tell Ai about this thing. And basically what it says is the writer compared themselves to Pluto. The writer has a childhood friend who orbited close, but didn't pay any attention to that friend until one day when that friend slowly distanced themselves and disappeared. The writer then thinks of that friend when putting away old stuff. In our lives, there's always someone who comes into our lives for us to forget as time goes by. When we think back, we miss that person. But by the time we do, that person is no longer in our lives. It's like Pluto being taken off the list of planets in our solar system. People knew that it was there, but didn't pay any attention until it was no longer there. And people still didn't care until one day someone said, "It used to be a planet in our solar system." So this is how we get like the scene later with them as kids. First of all, bitch, I never forgot Pluto.
Damn. Who's they? First of all, that was so deep and beautiful, Chao. No one died. But, I mean, like, still someone was taken away. But, like, oh my god, Chao.
No, yeah. She was on her theme in this book. Like, yeah, it was real good.
That hurt.
I know.
There's always someone that you look back on. But I think, you know what? No, Saturn was my favorite. Was Pluto being taken away the reason I love Pluto? Oh my god, that's so sad. It's so what is going on with my life? I think I'm having a crisis right now.
Having a solar system crisis.
Oh.
Okay, wait. It keeps going. Okay, so Chao does this thing where she kind of uses Pluto as this metaphor of like you notice them, then you don't notice them kind of thing. And then she uses this concept of like orbit, which I will bring up in the show, that I think GMMTV read this and ran with it, because that's how you get the love triangle, which is not the Ai-oon May one, but like the lady one that we thought was a throuple. That was just in the that was GMMTV did that.
Officer Hottie.
Yeah, an Officer Hottie. That was in the show only, and it plays with this concept of orbit that Chao talks about. But anyway, so that's the Pluto metaphor. It's about like, oh wait, actually no, it gets sadder. I have to. I'm sorry, it gets sadder because then they start talking.
It's already so sad, Theora.
No, wait, it gets worse. I have to. Wait, no, leave me alone. Okay, wait, hold on.
I also have Pluto research that I'll get into in a little bit if it doesn't say it in the book.
Okay, this is May talking, so this is a continuation of what I just read. It's sad that there was a time when someone was in our lives and there were some connections. Then the world suddenly threw us apart and we don't remember each other anymore. She's talking to Ai, and she's talking to Ai at this kind of stage where like Ai has no idea that May is talking about her, but she is. And then she's saying, yeah, maybe they don't remember us, or maybe we still do, but we're not as close as we were before. We've become Pluto in each other's lives. And this is Ai's brain. We go quiet after that. What May said makes me determined to count the stars again, and I will also go look for this post as soon as I go home. Love Ai. And then Ai asks, have you ever been a Pluto in someone's life? Oh, wait, no, sorry. May asked this to Ai, sorry. And then Ai says, I don't think so. I won't let anyone forget me that easily. And then May says, yeah, that means there are Plutos in your life and you are their galaxy. And Ai's like, no, I don't think so. I remember everyone in my life. And May says, no, there must be someone that you forgot.
In front of you, damn it.
And Ai insists, there isn't. What about you? Do you have a Pluto in your life? And May says, maybe, but I don't know who. And Ai says, have you ever been Pluto in someone's life? The question causes May to go quiet before she nods and admits, yes. Ai says, oh? And do you remember that person? May, I can never forget. Like, damn, Chao.
Okay, well, you said it gets sadder, but this is kind of funny. I don't know if it's just the way you're reading it, but
it's just like,
yeah, it's
heartbreaking for May.
It's really funny because she's saying it in front of
to the Pluto,
her galaxy.
To her galaxy, yeah. Exactly.
So that's the only reason why it's funny, because she's not like the lost connection. Like, she's like, just remember me, damn it.
It's just Ai who's like, I would never forget a soul, and it's like, girl. But May's like, no, you definitely have.
To know, like, someone made such an impact on you, but they don't remember you. So, like, that means that I meant more to her than, oh my god, sorry, all the names get confused in my head, than May meant to Ai. And that's just so sad.
It's so sad.
But not anymore.
Yeah, no, not anymore. But that is the basis for, like, the title of the show and kind of how they play with this orbiting concept of, like, people coming into your life and impacting you, but then, like, they don't think it's kind of like I think it's like the Avengers thing, or I don't know, something where it's like, you did this thing that changed my whole life, and then the other person's like, that was a Tuesday to me, I don't remember any of that, because it was so, like, whatever. That's kind of like their relationship a little bit, and that happens with other characters too, and it's really interesting how GMMTV runs with it, and I will bring that up when we get there. But that's why we keep harping on Pluto, even from the beginning, because May remembers everything, and Ai's like, I don't remember any of this shit. This impactful thing
you bring up Avengers. That was definitely the Hawkeye storyline.
Yeah, maybe that was it. I just know the saying. I don't actually know what it's from. All right. Anyway, so after the Pluto metaphor stuff, these two get all cute again, and then we get this voiceover from Ai. And I think that it's not just her waxing poetic in the moment. I think that this is another excerpt from her journal that she's reading. And I think that the whole series is kind of told through this journal entry that while May is reading it later on. But the voiceover we get now is Ai explaining their love story, basically her and May's, as being as epic as Pluto's orbit. And yeah, and I think that that's GMMTV essentially setting up the series being told from the point of view of Ai's journal that May is reading later on, that kind of explains everything. And at least that's how I choose to read it now that I've come back and looked at this. And if that's true, Ai has an impeccable memory. Like, the way she vividly remembers all this shit. Like, the way she didn't remember May at all when they first met, and now, like, everything's vivid detail the second time around is kind of wild.
I feel like now, for, like, the stuff that's going on currently, she is writing it right afterwards.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a scene where, like, she is writing it during our reaction. We're like, why are you writing it down? You don't have written evidence about everything that's happening. Anyway. But during this voiceover, she says, our story runs like Pluto's longest journey. Now, we both didn't know what Pluto's longest journey is. And Pluto's orbit is 248 Earth years. Which is insane. That is so long.
That's how old America is.
I think one Earth day is like 86 years on Pluto. No, that's not right. That's definitely not right. It's whatever. Never mind. I didn't write down that statistic. Don't quote me on that one. But I did some more research into Pluto, and it's also kind of sad. Because Pluto was originally named Planet X because they could not find Pluto. And
sorry.
I'm sorry, I did not write down the original person searching for Pluto most of their life, not most of their life, but for a very long time, and did not find it before they died. So they died, and that was his main goal, was to find Planet X. Because he's like, there's gotta be, it's there. I saw it, it has to be there, but he couldn't find it again. And after he died, his wife wanted to continue this mission to find Planet X. So she got 23-year-old Clyde Tombaugh, or the organization hired Clyde to try to find Pluto. So on February 18th, 1930, after a year of searching, Clyde finally found Pluto at 23 years old, which is amazing, first of all. But he found it by imaging the sky in pairs of photographs, then examining the pairs to determine if any objects shifted position. So the way that they found Pluto, it kind of reminds me of how twins may switch places to fool people, and you may have to look hard to be able to tell who is who, what is real, and look for what you're actually searching for. Which brings us to
first, I'm also really glad Chao didn't go with the "I searched for you my whole life and never found you" part of Pluto's origin story when she did the metaphor. So it would have sucked. So
could you imagine? What if all this happened in the afterlife?
No, listen, I don't want it.
That still goes with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but I don't want it. I'm glad she didn't do that. Okay, thank you, Chao, for not going strictly with the origin story. Okay, so let's go to our next scene. So after we get the flash forward, we flash back to science class in 2011, following little Ai back into elementary, middle school. I can't really tell. And they're in either way, it's science class time, and the kids are learning about the solar system. And Ai is obviously the smartest student in the class because she correctly points out the teacher forgot Pluto from the list of planets.
And so I think I'm gonna steal a little bit of your next point. Oom is like, Pluto's not a planet. It was taken out of the solar system.
Lies.
And yes, lies. but I love how the teacher's like, correct, Oom. Pluto was taken out of the solar system. And then she turns to Ai. Also, and good job, Ai-oon. You remember Pluto was a planet. And just that sentence, just good job, you do remember something. It's just hilarious in my brain. But also, yes, remember that Pluto was a planet because it is a planet.
It is a planet.
Past tense.
We have made our stance on this, and so we don't agree with you, bitch. But the important thing from this scene, other than Oom's a liar, is that we get a glimpse into Ai and Oom's relationship. Ai is this cool kid that everybody loves. So the minute, the teacher's like, whatever, I guess, good job for remembering this. Ai's like, well, here's why I like it. She makes, a pun about Pluto and gets the class laughing. Because she's, the cool kid. And everybody's, kind of drawn to her. She's charming, charismatic. And Oaboom's just got her, teacher's pet going for her. And so that's really so you see that the twins are pretty different and kind of how people respond to them. So you got goody two shoes, Oaboom, and then you got the class clown, and that's the two of them. Also, one of them is pro Pluto and one of them's a Pluto hater, so there's also that makes them different.
Hashtag Pluto hater. As we have established, we are a no hate Pluto podcast. I also forgot to mention that there are countless people fighting for Pluto, in the scientific community too. There have been committees, gathering to try and get Pluto back to be a planet, and it just, no one can agree. So that there are people fighting for Pluto. Now Chao just made that even sadder, though.
Pluto's whatever you want it to be, and we're Team Ai in this regard. It's a planet.
Yes.
Okay. So basically the twins, they're identical twins, but they have opposite personalities. And there seems to be already, as children, some animosity between the twins, because then we get a voiceover from Ai, again, from the journal entry being it's a real shame that Pluto is no longer in the solar system. I'd rather just yeet my sister out of the solar system, which is so dark.
It's so dark, but
dark.
in her eyes right now, her sister's perfect. But you're perfect to me.
You're so funny.
You're my Pluto. Ai is my Pluto.
Ai is my galaxy. I'm a Pluto for her. Let's be honest. She's the galaxy. Anyway, she's so funny. Okay, so then after that
would make more sense.
we time jump to present day, and we get a glimpse of Oaboom's car crash on her wedding day, and then we hard cut to Ai, who's waking up in the middle of the night by her hysterical grandmother because Oom was in a car crash.
So it could be that she's hearing the grandmother, but to me, the lesson kind of seemed like it was a dream that she was thinking about. And she was thinking about the Pluto lesson, and how she was thinking about eating her sister of the universe, and then just gets a feeling that something bad happened, and that's what makes her shoot up out of bed before her grandmother even gets to her room.
Yeah,
so that's how I saw it.
It could be. That definitely could be it. I was reading it from the journal entry where Ai's like, I'm gonna tell May this story, and she's like, let's go back to the beginning. We hated each other as children. I wanted to yeet her, and then then the yeeting happened because the universe said so, and it was distraught.
That makes sense too.
Could be. I think she got the first time I was like, I also read it your way, and then I was like, I think what wakes her up is the grandmother banging on the door, because she wakes up and she's like, why am I awake? And then there's banging, but you don't hear it in Ai's dream. You hear it when she's awake, because she's like, why am I up? And then you hear banging. But
got it. Okay.
It's whatever you want it to be. Okay, but the point of this scene is despite the animosity that's clearly been an undercurrent in Ai and Oom's relationship, it's really clear in this moment that Ai loves her sister, because she looks terrified when Grandma tells her about this car crash her sister was just in. So naturally, Ai and Grandma race to the hospital, and by the grace of lesbian Jesus, they arrive minutes after Oaboom gets there. How? How did that?
So this comes up in almost every show we watch at this point in the Thai Girl Love universe. And I am convinced that teleportation does exist if you are a lesbian trying to get to someone who is being rushed to the hospital. Not just in the hospital.
Right.
They're rushed
not just in the hospital. Yeah, they're being rushed.
It's the only explanation.
That's wild.
Yes, it's blank. No, there's another show, definitely. It's every show, they end up at the hospital right as they're being rolled back.
The only one where it makes sense and teleportation is plausible is in the reverse for you universe.
Yes.
But they're doctors in the hospital, so it's I'm like, you could have
they're already there. But my other explanation for this is emergency services are really slow in Thailand.
It's the traffic,
and somehow the grandmother was called first.
Yeah. Or the traffic was so bad wherever Oom was that they were just like, Jesus Christ. And then Ai and her motorcycle get there.
I was driving recklessly.
I wouldn't put it past her.
She does almost get run over. I don't know if it was a truck.
It was the ambulance when they were at the hospital. So yeah.
All right.
Could be. Yeah. All right. Regardless, things don't look good for Oom when we get to the hospital. She's covered in blood and is getting electroshocked with the ACD machine, which means she's already had cardiac arrest, and in that moment she's technically dead, and that's why they're doing the shock, because she's dead. So that's not good. Then we get this scene, which I love, where Ai and Grandma, basically the staff is like, listen, we have to take her back into an actual operating room or whatever, you guys got to stay there, let the doctors do their thing. And so Ai and Grandma are frozen in the lobby of the ER while the world is basically bustling around them. And they did this shot in a fair also where the mains are literally standing still, and then all the people are kind of rushing around them, and they kind of play it quickly so that you see this rushing of bodies while they're frozen. And I like this technique. I thought this was a really good choice for this moment because it really encapsulates how helpless and stuck Ai and the grandmother feel, because there's literally nothing they can do except just grieve while time goes on and hopefully things work out for Oom. I think that's a good way to capture that feeling of being the family member that can't actually do anything but exist there and wait.
And also how that's the only thing on their mind. The world is literally a blur to them.
Yeah.
Because they could probably, even with them crying, everything is literally blurry.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That too. Yeah, that's a really good point. But damn. So good choice.
Either way,
I like that choice.
It's great job shooting that.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know exactly the not dynamics, but like the situation of how they were able to shoot that. I'm sure there's probably something out there that shows you.
I don't know if there's BTS for Pluto, but there's BTS for a fair where they did it and they show you how they set it up. And like basically, because they did it, spoiler, when Juan and Plang are reunited in the hospital and they see each other after the big 13-year gap. And basically they had like the two actors stand there and they couldn't move. And then everybody's blocked and they walk around them. And then they literally just like speed it up in post.
So it's like,
no,
it would still be 60 frame, and then they just they have to film it at a higher frame rate. Whether
I imagine so.
So if you slow footage down, you want to film it at 60 frames instead of 30 or 24, which is basically how many images you're getting in 1 second.
Yeah, but so it's BTS for a fair. I don't know about this particular scene. But anyway, good choice. Love it. So already we're off to a good start with this being an amazing production because that's why we want to be a GMMTV podcast. They're all good. Okay, so then this scene ends with Ai's journal entry again, where she says, all right, now we're regretting. Basically, Ai's like, I regret yeeting my sister out of the solar system. What do I do to get my Pluto back, meaning her sister? And I think that Ai, at this stage, carries a lot of unresolved guilt towards Oom. And in this moment in the hospital where she's like helpless to what's happening with her sister, I think this is a kind of breaking point for Ai. And you can like really see it on her face. And it sets up why she's going to agree to go through with Oom's shenanigans to break up with her lover, which is May. And this guilt that she carries is one of the rationales she tells May in the future, like through the journal. Like she feels really guilty towards Oom. And that kind of like sets up a lot of Ai's character basically already in this little scene.
I love Ai. Ai's going through some shit. Because this literally is an incident that's turning everybody's world upside down. Again, Oom is, sorry, I always call Oom May in my head. Oom is Pluto for everybody. She's meant to be Pluto in this moment.
She really is. She's everybody's Pluto. Oh my god, that's so true. Poor Oom. Again, I have a lot of unresolved feelings about Oom. Poor Oom. Show Oom. Book Oom is another story. Show Oom. We'll get into Book Oom
We'll get
later.
there.
Show Oom. We love her. And she's everybody's Pluto. That's a really good way of putting it.
Speaking of things we love.
So let's cut to the OST. So first of all, it's called Pluto is the OST. Love this song. If you have a chance to watch the whole video, the whole song, it's really, really, really good. I like the way they put this song together and how they use it later in the show. This song will come up. Actually, no, it's not this song. Different song. I love this song. It's really, really good. And I like that they stuck with the space theme because that was really on brand for the novel, as I just kind of read. So I like that they paid homage to that. And they also edit the opening credits to look like a scrapbook / a journal, which clicked for me when I was like, oh, this whole thing is supposed to kind of be like a big journal entry that May's reading. So they were like, here's the scrapbook of the show. So I was like, oh, that was also clever and goes in line with how they're telling this story.
That's what I was looking at while watching it too. But there's some shots that don't really typically match the journal scrapbook thing.
Right.
Like, well, maybe that's like the dreamy version of it because sometimes you over elaborate or it's not like completely accurate. It's just like what you're remembering.
Yes.
That's the bright fuzzy part of it.
Yeah, because my other favorite thing that this show does is it plays with point of view really well, and that's one of my favorite things. Oh my god, yeah. So, you're right. So, whoever's telling the story, I, for example, could gloss over certain things with her poetic brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely do point of view well.
Oh my god.
Not doing the exact same thing too. You want to watch it again because it is completely different. It's completely love different. It. We will get there, but I can't wait. Thank you for bringing that up again because it reignited my excitement.
Yeah, that was one of the things I love the most about this show is how they deliberately play with point of view. And another thing I really love about the opening credits is that it doesn't give away the plot. It doesn't give away the entire show. Sometimes you watch the opening credits and you're like, I've just watched the show. They don't do that.
I don't know if that's why I don't pay attention to the opening credits or it's just me, but this one kind of makes it like, oh, look how pretty and cute these two leads are.
I mean, yes, there's that too, and it's effective. They are cute.
It is.
Okay, other thing I thought was really cute and something that they definitely were cognizant of in the series a lot was the fact that one of the main characters is blind for a significant portion of the show. So in the opening credits, in addition to having Thai and an English translation, they added Braille underneath, which is the like international sign language, not sign language, international like written language for the visually impaired, which I recognize does not help the visually impaired on screen, but I do love this attention to detail that like that's part of the story and they're paying homage to that. So I like the detail. It's not functional, but I like the detail.
It's not, but it's not erasing May's part of the story in the opening credits.
Yes, because there's shenanigans in the book when it comes to May and her blindness, and GMMTV said no. And I respect them for that hardcore. And they were like, let's tell this story of a disabled person, because like there's not enough of that. So #representation matters. And so I like that they did that. And they were like, here's some actual issues. Here's like, they actually did a good thing with that plot line, and I respect them for that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Chao used it for drama. They actually were like, let's talk about this.
On track. It makes sense. But yeah, I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute. This is great Again, I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know anyone who's blind in my own life. But just having that representation on screen is not something you get very often.
No.
And from my experience of watching things, they're kind of the villain. It's always the people who are disabled who are the villains. So, I mean, you're kind of led to kind of believe that later. We'll get into it. But
yeah, I mean,
she's looking for her love of her life. But I also did not notice that it was translated in Braille in the opening credits, and I'm sad that I didn't see that.
And so I liked it. I like that they even had them have conversations about like what's it like to be disabled in like the modern world, and just even having those conversations I think was just important on its own, whether you want to argue that May is good representation of a disabled character, like valid no matter what you think about that. I just like that they had conversations in here. Even that I thought was valuable. But
it's so easy to think that everything's accessible to everyone because you see those like little things that are made for accessibility, but the things that are made for it's not always accessible either.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It is a great commentary on it.
Yeah. I think in the next episode she has a conversation on Ai. We'll get into that. But before we get there, we have to time jump 10 hours before the car crash, and let's get into Oom's wedding. So it cuts to this really huge, fancy AF building with this giant-ass chandelier. And all these guests in like formal attire like arrive in, and there's bouncers, and then here comes Ai on her motorbike in her DoorDash uniform, and she shows up and like parks her motorbike in front of the door. Was she expecting them to valet her bike? Like what? What was she doing? I guess.
I don't think so. I don't think she cares enough.
No, I don't think she
for
cares.
Like even the valet. I think she's being forced to be there, so she's like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Everyone else can deal with. Like, they can go around me because I'm basically the main event because my face.
I mean, she is the main
is
event.
On the poster.
Let's just be 100%.
She is.
Yeah, Ai is the equivalent of an A-list celebrity in this scene because she shows up and they're like, who the fuck are you? You're like street urchin, get out of here before you cause trouble. And she's like, bitch. And then she points to her face and then she's like, you want my ID? You don't need ID? Look at this face. Look at the face in the poster. Look at this face. Look at this face.
I have some thoughts about this scene.
So funny.
Because she is number one on my heart and the call sheet at this event. Because look at how well she rocks this simple outfit.
I know.
So simple. I mean, it's she's wearing her jacket for work. It's just she's lesbian Jesus. Thank you for gracing us with Namtam.
Literally, and like as a DoorDash driver, she better get tipped. I mean, if she showed up to give you food, it'd be like, here's double the money. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the driver that you don't want to drop off at your door. This is please open my door.
Yeah,
I don't
open my door.
Come into my house. Stay forever.
Want some tea? Stay forever.
But I love how she just points to her face into the poster because it would be so much easier just to be like, oh, I am the sister of the bride. But she doesn't care enough to explain who she is. And so she's like, just look at my damn face and tell me I don't belong here. I love her. Oh, God, she's so funny. Beautiful, perfect. She can do no wrong.
She's never done anything wrong in her life.
Nope.
What would have been funnier?
Except one thing.
I mean, was it wrong? I mean, was it?
Well, no, she was having strong feelings as a child.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. Okay, so before we get to that, back to this scene. So this scene would have been 1,000 times funnier if we didn't get the car crash before it, because I would have thought she was the bride, and this is how the bride was showing up to the wedding, which would have been really fucking iconic and hilarious if she just, like, didn't want to be at her own wedding and, like, shows up on a motorcycle in her DoorDash uniform and is like, I'm the fucking bride. Let me... Like, could you imagine if she was the bride?
That's Big Nug.
So funny.
This is why I and Big Nung would get along so
Big
well.
Nung would 100% have done this at her own wedding if she rode a motorcycle. Like, tell me they wouldn't be friends.
An hour late.
Tell me she wouldn't be friends with I, because she absolutely would be. Anyway, I just thought that would be really funny if she was the bride. What an entrance. Iconic behavior. All right, but Grandma is not as amused with I as we are, so she's like, bitch, what the fuck? You're in your DoorDash uniform. All the guests are here. Like, go change. And I's like, girl, Grandma, I had to work. Which, like, relatable. Like, she had to give some deliveries. The wedding clearly hasn't started yet. Like, whatever. She's fine. She's fine. As we'll see in a second, she cleans up just fine. Like, it's no big deal, grandmother. But also, like, this is pretty rude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Like, your own sister is showing up, first of all, late, not even caring, has a bad attitude the whole time. Like, this is peak. Like, Oom would have a reason to be upset. Totally.
Oom has many reasons to be upset. Like, of all the characters, Oom has the reasons to be upset, for sure. But yeah, I just, like, straight up doesn't want to be there. And that's the root of all of this. So Grandma pulls I off screen to go change, and then we cut back to the wedding festivities. And now, at this, like, on the rewatch, knowing what happens to Oom and Paul, this scene is really sad where they're, like, being all cute on stage and, like, professing their love to each other, because Oom tells the crowd their love is destiny. Okay, and then Paul later on says, thank you for trusting me with your life. And it's like, damn it, writers, like, this was so dark.
He also says that he will take care of her for the rest of his life. He technically does keep his promise.
He does. No, he for sure keeps his promise. The fact that this was her destiny is really sad. He's like, trusting your life with me, and then later he gets her into a car crash, so damn. But good thing about this wedding scene is that it's good context for later on when we get into Oom after she, like, loses her memories. So, like, in this little scene with these two, we get the context that, like, Oom was a flight attendant working for Paul's airline. And for Paul, he claims that it was love at first sight when he met Oaboom. But Oom, it took her a while to, quote, open her heart to Paul. So, like, meaning that was not mutual. Like, the love at first sight wasn't mutual. It took her longer. And at the wedding, though, if you watch Oom, like, she seems genuinely happy with Paul. Like, I is like, God, my sister's so fake and stupid. I hate her. But, like, Oom seems happy here. So it seems like at this stage, she kind of came to terms with her relationship with Paul, which will come into question later. But of course, like, nothing in this series is simple, or you can take nothing at face value in this show. So, like, we'll get into their complexities later. But they did establish a bunch of things very quickly that, like, at first glance you might miss, but on second glance you're like, oh, wait. Clever writers.
The writers are great. Oh my
writers are so good. So good.
If you're listening to this, come talk to us.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, if you happen to be listening, screenwriters, hit us up.
Not like it happened before, right?
It has happened before. All right, so we learned that Ai 100% does not want to be at this freaking wedding because at this stage, her rivalry she's got going on with Oom is really strong still.
Like, Ai rolls her eyes while these speeches are happening.
She does. She does.
And, like, part of it is, yeah, her sister's happy. But I wonder if, like, the rivalry aside from the sisters, I wonder if it's because she, like, doesn't see the point in weddings. Because, especially when you... I'm not remembering currently, like, if she's ever really loved someone at this
May
point.
No,
she
doesn't know what love is.
She just doesn't see weddings in her future. Because it's hard when you don't see that for yourself. Because I remember before I came out, I'm like, oh, weddings are stupid. I don't see that. Because I'm like, oh, you have to be with a man. And then as soon as I was like, oh, I'm a lesbian, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe. So I believe, like, at this point, she may have never considered that she would end up with a woman, and then having May in her life opened her eyes to, like, oh, marriage could be a good thing. So maybe that's also why she rolls her eyes, because she's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I feel like that could definitely be part of it, where Ai is basically like, she says in her inner monologue later, where she's like, I used to think people like Oom were like really fake and two-faced and like she finds this performative, like the wedding, which it is, like it's kind of a performance in a way. You know, you're like out here flaunting your sex companion. It is kind of weird when you think about weddings in the modern era.
Also, weddings, at least in America too, there's so many parties leading up to it. I'm like, is this just a way to get stuff?
Right.
It is.
It is. Yeah. Anyway, so like that's valid. That's a valid read for Ai. I also just think she's like jealous and envious of Oom because what's happening with the grandmother in this scene? Grandmother rubs it in where she's like, your sister has her life together, Ai. What the fuck's taking you so long? And she's like, you need to get your shit together and be like her. So I think that's the other part of this for Ai, where she's like, here's tangible, giant festivity about how I'm a failure compared to my sister in everybody else's eyes. Like, I don't think she sees it that way, to your point. I don't like Ai envisions this for herself, but like, it's another one of those, like, here's a stepping stone in life. And like, look, your little sister got there before you did. What's wrong with you, Ai? I think that's the other thing that she just hates about this. Cause it's like, I didn't want to be here. Cause like, I wouldn't want to be here either. If you're like, you're just going to compare me to my sister the whole time. How could I enjoy this?
I wouldn't want to be there in general either. Like, weddings are boring. Anyway. It's even sadder because we know later how hard Ai is trying right now to have the grandma not worry about her and not like be a concern for her family. And it's so sad because it's like she can't do enough. Like, she's not her sister, which is creating this rivalry thing because she can't be her sister. That's the whole thing of the show.
Yes.
Literally. But she shouldn't have to be.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a multitude of reasons why Ai just, like, is so visibly uncomfortable in this scene. And the other thing I think she hates is dressing up formally. I don't think she likes it in general because we get the sense that she's not a dress and heels type of woman because she wore sneakers to the wedding, like the icon that she is, because heels are dumb. If you like them, that's
so dumb.
That's for you. Good for you, but like, they're dangerous, man. Like,
they're so uncomfortable. Like, why do we do that? Like, I hear people talk about all this time, like, oh, it's so rough walking around with heels. Like, I take them off as soon as I can. I'm like,
why are we wearing them then?
Yourself? Why is that the symbol? At least what I have known in America, like for business women to have to wear heels just so they can be taller and more powerful to stand up to the men that are in business.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And I love that she wears sneakers because this is also like, I was like, I'm not wearing a dress to prom. I don't want to go to prom, but fine, if I have to, I'm wearing sneakers. I was also really surprised when we saw her in a dress. I'm like, she seems like she'd want to be in a suit.
I agree. Anyway.
Yeah.
I love that comes up because again, they're trying to establish also the way Ai and Oom are different. It's not just personality, like even like what they feel comfortable wearing is very different.
They are very different people. Just because they're twins don't mean they're the exact same person.
Correct.
And before we get to the twins actually communicating kind of in the hallway, we are going to take a break to give our Chaos Crew members over on Patreon some shout outs. So our Chaos Crew members on the Big Gay Ride or Die tier and above as of filming are Dana W, Caroline R, Amix Monzone _multi, Natalia, Danny, Cassie M, Here For It, Jill L, Regina B, and Monet F. And our featured Big Gay supporter members for this episode are Simba K, Isla, and Jasmine. Thank you so much for supporting us. I see some of you on Discord as well, and it's so great seeing you interact. We see everybody on Patreon interacting over there. As of filming, Isla and A-Mix had a great bonding time last night on Discord. So go join Discord if you want to join a community of people, because I just had to bring that up because it just made my heart so happy to see just people bonding over there and really helping create this community that we want to create for all of you who enjoy queer content. Because it is so lonely when you don't know people in your own life who watch the same things as you. And that's the big thing that we want to fulfill with this podcast.
Yeah, and if you just want to lurk, that's fine, and keep up with just like every show on existence that's coming out in like the Asian girl love scene. They're on top, like shout out to Nancy, who basically runs our Discord at this point. Because, like, damn, Nancy's on top of every single show that comes out. So it's a good way to just know what's going on. Like, I'm always like, what is this? It's in the Discord.
Especially, it's very helpful because Nancy will tell us to be like, hey, you need to see this.
Also that, yeah, that's also really
Discord
helpful.
tells
like,
us
watch this.
all of the information that we need to know. And it's very helpful. So thank you, Nancy and everyone on Discord.
Yeah, go make some friends. All right, speaking of people who need to be friends, so we get to Ai and Oom. So Ai escapes the party because she doesn't want to be there. And then Oom also escapes the party and finds Ai in this empty hallway that's adjacent to the ballroom, I assume. And we get our first scene where we have the twins, the Namtam, not the twins, but like Namtam as the twins in the same scene, because when they were children, I think those are two different actors, and then here we have Namtam doing both twins in the same shot. And I would love to know more about how they filmed / edited the Ai-oom scenes where Namtam is playing both characters when they're on screen together, because I do wonder like if they did like Orphan Black style where like Namtam had like an acting double that acted in the scenes with her. I'm just curious how they kind of like went about this. I haven't seen any BTS that talked about this, so if there is any, like, please let me know. I'm just very curious if it was just a Tatiana Maslany situation.
Yeah, I think it's definitely probably filmed similar to it.
I would assume so.
There would probably be at least a double when it's interacting with each other, like hugging or something like that.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
Face. But it's definitely you can't go past this line because we need to be able to edit it into it, and there's a lot of post.
I bet.
Again, GMMTV gets the budget also with between the product placements and everything to be able to do things like this, which is really cool. So we're not knocking smaller studios because they do a great job as well. Yep. They create the merch too. It's very well filmed.
It's super well done.
And Namtam does an amazing job at separating these two characters. Again, Tatiana Maslany.
She's Tatiana Maslany of the Thai girl love scene. Yeah, no, like we'd even in this scene right here, just her posture as she's Ai because Ai slouches and then Oom doesn't. And so like just even like how the way she holds herself, you can tell which character she is. Like, yeah, like the wardrobe usually gives it away because like Ai likes to dress less formally than Oom. So obviously that gives it away. Like Oom is much more like high femme. Ai is not. So there's that. But when you have them in similar attire, like she's still... Namtam is what I like to call a full body actor. Like she like will tell you what's going on with her entire body, with the way she moves and holds herself in a scene. Like you could tell who she is just by like her body. And like that's why I will compare her to, I think that's the comparison to Tatiana Maslany, because Tatiana Maslany is a full body actor. Like you could tell just by like she's standing who she is in a scene.
And it's really hard because you have to fully embody that character. Yes. You're not just like thinking about what they're thinking. Like, no, you are literally that character. Literally. That's how you get the body language. Because it's easy when you're one character, because all you have to do is think about their motivations, and then who you are is becoming the body language for that. But when you're having to separate those people, you need to have your body language be separate, which is hard if you're just being like yourself with their mindset.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very glad she got the opportunity to flex so many acting skills, because she did it really well. And like, this is not an easy thing to do, even when you're playing twins. Like these are very opposite and different people. And so she did a great job conveying that even when the characters aren't speaking. Like, good job, girl. But I would love to know if she had an acting double in some of these scenes, because like, kudos to the acting double that had to act with her.
But yes, kudos to...
That's what I mean, because...
We do need to know more about the doubles, because they don't.
They don't. And that was like the big thing about Tatiana in Orphan Black. She like gave her acting double a bunch of credit to be like, there wouldn't be these scenes if she wasn't acting with me. Because like the acting double gets erased by Tatiana when she's playing two characters on scene. Same thing here. Whoever Namtan was acting with, that person's gone, and you're just replaced with Namtan in post. So like you're not going to know who was acting out the whole... Like that person had to know all the lines and do all the things, and like they get no on-screen credit. So...
If you know theater, it's like a character who's an understudy or even a swing. So on Broadway, a swing actor is somebody who knows multiple roles. So like at least 2, 3, even more roles, they're able to go into any role. So they know all the choreography, all the lines, all the blocking, and are able to step in a moment's notice. And sometimes they don't even get to perform at all.
Yeah.
So it's insane how much they work. They work maybe even harder than the person who was actually cast, because they need to know everything. I would love if shows that did use doubles would have like an alternate universe type episode where we do get to see the double, because they deserve it, or at least have this special bonus thing.
Yeah.
Something that really showcases them. And this is the same way I feel about the people behind the screen too. Like everyone who works on the shows, because we only see the people who we see on screen, and like that's the nature of this content. But there's so many people working just as hard, and who are helping these actors be the best they can be as well.
Right. Agreed.
And just everyone needs so much recognition, and if I can find the names of people, maybe we'll just do a segment where we just go through the list of people who have worked on the show, because they definitely deserve the recognition.
And if you're out there and watching this podcast, let us know. We would love to talk to you. We appreciate everything you
definitely would. I'm trying to reach out to some people.
Yeah. Okay. Wish us luck. Okay, so let's get back to Ai and Oom. So Ai and Oom, now that they're alone, start arguing immediately. And Oom, in this conversation, from the jump, adopts this more like defensive body language, where she like closes herself off. She like does the crossed arm things. Whereas Ai is more like open body language and more like aggressive. Not like, I don't mean these in bad ways. I just mean her body, like her stance is more like she's on the offensive, whereas Oom is on the defensive in the conversation. And so I wonder if Namtan did that on purpose to kind of give us insight into these two people at this stage when we don't really know what's going on with them and their sibling dynamic. Whereas like Ai is the strong one, hence being on the offensive, and Oom is the weaker one on the defense in the conversation of just the two of them. So that was the vibe I got from just, because again, full body actor. I was like, I feel like she's trying to tell us something with the way she's like standing in the scene. All right, so then throughout this conversation, we get a flashback, because Oom is like, listen, bitch, I'm here to cast a check that you owe me, Ai. And Ai's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So then Oom gives us a flashback of a little Ai who stole Oom's uniform to cosplay her sister in school, is basically what happened. And before she steals the uniform in this flashback, it cuts to Oom. Okay, and keep in mind, this whole interaction of the two of them when they're younger on the roof is Ai's point of view, not Oom's, because this is Ai's journal entry we're still living in at this moment. Okay, so it reads from Ai's point of view. So then Ai is like playing, like touching Oom's uniform, because they go to different schools, so Oom's uniform is different. Because Oom got a scholarship to be in a private school and Ai is in the public school. So she's like playing with her uniform and Oom's watching her. And if you watch Oom, like Oom gives this like little subtle smile and like you can kind of read it as a smirk from Ai's point of view, because not a full smile. And from Ai's point of view, I would think, oh, my sister's bragging because she got into a better school than me, because there's still that envy there from Ai's point of view. But if you take a step back and think about this scene from Oom's point of view, I think that the smile was more genuine, because Oom, I think, is secretly happy that her sister is admiring her uniform, because that's the way she's looking at it. And she's like, oh, I got into a private school, like on this academic scholarship. So I think Oom in this moment is just like, oh, finally my big sister's proud of me, because that's what she wants. And she's like, oh my God, my sister must think I'm so cool. But then no, this little asshole just steals her uniform because Ai is envious of Oom's success and jealous of the way Oom is revered by their grandmother at this stage. So Ai's like, fuck you, Oom. I'm going to prove that we're basically the same person. I don't know why everybody puts you on a pedestal. Like, that's Ai's point of view. And Oom's like, no, we're different, and that's a good thing. And like, no, Ai's like, fuck you.
And Ai thinks that Oom thinks she's better as well.
Right, so. Exactly. Because of everything that goes down with them, and we get bits and pieces of that. But I feel, again, I have unresolved feelings about Oom, where I think Oom was just like, yay, my sister's happy for me, and she was not. So Ai cosplays Oom. And while she was cosplaying Oom, we find out later she fought some bullies. That's all we know for now. Who retaliated the next day by beating the shit out of Oom, basically. Because Oom is not, because we saw again in the sibling dynamic, Ai's the aggressive one, Oom is the defensive one. So like Ai was like, you know, she's like, you all can catch these hands. And then Oom was probably like, oh shit. And she got the shit beat out of her. So Ai sees this, and her immediate reaction is, I'm going to beat the shit out of them again. And Oom's like, listen, girl, if you keep fighting the bullies, they're just going to keep beating the shit out of me. Like, this is an no-win situation. You need to stop. And just make this up to me one day. And Ai's like, you know, I promise I'll do whatever you want. And she like, there wasn't a picky promise, so it's not legally binding, but it's like pretty close the way she promised this. And she's like, if I don't, I'll bark like a dog in front of a temple, which would be really funny if she did do this. Honestly, I think that would be hilarious scene.
The most random thing to say. So funny. In like, oh, I promise. They didn't pinky promise, did they?
They didn't. So
not legally binding, no matter what you say.
It's not legally binding, girl. Neither of them are lawyers, so like, let's be honest. They don't know. They're children. But something I did notice in this scene, because this is another scene where NamTam is playing both characters, is that when they zoom back and you get the wide shot of Oom and Ai in the hallway, Ai looks physically taller than Oom. Which is interesting, because they're supposed to be, it's the same person. And nobody's wearing heels in this scene, so like, interesting.
It's because
Ai looks bigger.
It's because they have Ai positioned slightly closer to the camera, so the depth of field is creating Oom being smaller, but in a way, with the way this is looking, it kind of looks like they're on the same same plane of existence instead of being slightly staggered. And they're probably staggered because of filming, but it also would give you a sense that Ai has more power in this scene, which technically she is, because like she's overruling Oom. Yeah.
Also, like, it works because we learn that like Oom sees Ai as my big sister, so like physically it gives us a little bit of that too. Like Ai is the big sister, like to Oom, and Oom is the weaker one. So like it works in multiple ways. I just thought that was I just caught it. I was like, oh, interesting. Good choice. I mean, blocking Ai first, then Oom when you're staggering it made sense versus doing it the other way around.
You also see like in the hallway, it's still that same positioning. However, with Ai being more slouched, it's more even. But they're still in that position where Oom's in a little bit back of Ai, and the gap is getting bigger as they grow up.
Mm-hmm. So then after the flashback, we shoot back to the hallway scene where Oom is like, okay, here's how you're going to make it up. This was wild when you don't know anything because the shenanigans in the scene. Oom's like, okay, here's how you're going to make it up to me. I need you to cosplay me one more time because you're so good at it. And instead of fighting bullies, I need you to break up with my lover on my wedding day. And I was like, girl, like, and I is rightfully shocked that her sister is cheating on Paul. But I think from Ai's point of view, because we get all this like envy coming from I think she's also like secretly pleased that she has actual tangible proof that her sister isn't perfect like everybody thinks she is. And she's like, damn, you're kind of evil. And Ai's like, ha ha ha, like secretly pleased about this, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And so throughout this conversation, Oom struggles to ask Ai for this favor, and she refuses to divulge any details about this. And when you don't know what's going on, the first read is, oh, Oom's ashamed because she did this horrible thing, which is not
because
true.
like, but like,
girl,
what we're seeing is like she's still dating someone and deceiving Paul and this person because she's now married to someone else.
Those are facts you just said, yes. No matter what, that is all true.
That is all true.
That is all true. So shame is the first read, which is part of it. But later we find out Oom's point of view. And really the reason Oom struggles so much to ask this favor from Ai is that it's really breaking Oom's heart to let go of this person, the quote other lover, because she's not over this person emotionally. So like you watch her acting, like Namtan like flinches a lot as Oom during this conversation, because I think Oom is actually hurting to do this. Like it still hurts her, even though it's like time and she needs to do it. It's still like it still hurts Oom to do this.
I mean, it's unmistakable once you watch it the second time through what the look means. Because I feel like that's why it's so confusing the first watch, because you're trying to match up what you know to the expressions. And like, yeah, it can be read that way, but there's so much more to it that you are more confused while it's happening the first time.
So good.
And it's also very convenient that Oom keeps saying this person. And I'm a little curious why she didn't just outright say her and like just catch Ai off guard, because like either way she'd get to see the reaction. And like, why did I have to find out that when she saw May for the first time?
I don't think anybody knew what Ai's reaction to May was going to be, because like, did I remember May? I mean, I don't know. I think it broke Oom's heart to do this. And so like, I think it's one of those things where she's like using as few words as possible. And she's like not telling Ai anything. She's like, just do this. This is what I'm asking you to do. Just do it, Ai. Don't ask me any questions. Just go do it. I think it's just hard for her. And also like the drama of it.
The drama. It's Chao. Actually, I don't know if this is Chao.
No, this is Chao.
Is it Chao? Okay.
This is all Chao.
I mean, maybe she was worried I wouldn't be as welcoming to it. Like, she probably would have had her walls up more when meeting May, maybe. But maybe May caught her so off guard that she didn't have a chance to catch herself, and instead she caught feelings. So, I don't know. The whole situation is just, it is what it is.
This was shenanigans from Oom. Because, like, why? Like, I still don't get why you would send somebody to break up with someone in the hopes they'll get together. That part was wild.
That was really
That
weird.
was wild. What a gamble.
Like, couldn't you have just set up a date in a third-party location? Be like, hey, this is my ex-girlfriend who's actually interested in you. I think you should talk. Or you don't even talk about that part, but like just be like, oh, this is a person I know. I think you should just talk and see where it goes.
Or it could have been so much simpler to be like, I left something at her house, go get it. It could have been that. The thing didn't need to exist. And then like she'd meet May. And then there you go. You guys hit it off or whatever.
But also, I don't even think she told May what was going on either.
No, May. So, jumping ahead, she did tell May. She was basically like, I'm letting you go. And like part of their deal was like, in the hospital later when she's like, tells her, oh, you're in love with my sister, not me. She's like, but I'm not going to just hand Ai over to you. You have to prove you're worthy of Ai. Because that was when May was like, just became blind. And then May gets her shit together. So this is Oom's way of saying like, I'm letting you go. And I'm giving you you're worthy of meeting my sister again. So that's why when she sends Ai, May knows that Oom let her go and like is like, go for it with my sister now. I think you're better. Like you're you again. So yeah, May did know this. They kind of had conversations about this before.
But this whole situation is just weird.
It is. The whole gambit is weird. But anyway, so then Ai, the smartest girl in the class in Simac, brings up the obvious point, which is like, you literally just got married. Like I was just at your wedding and haven't ended things with your side piece. Like to go through your whole life being like, Oom's the smart one. And like to be in this situation with your sister, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Oom? What the fuck? Like, this was so wild for, like, the smart character, you know? What a plot point.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially asking on her wedding day.
I know!
Like not even maybe the week before. It would still be terrible. But why on, like, after the wedding? At the wedding.
Listen, this was wild. At the wedding! Like, exactly. This was wild.
Also, very convenient that it's like right before the car accident, and I'm like,
well, I think the thing is like the timing is very much like, well, we haven't sealed the marriage deal yet because she's like, your bedroom ceremony is almost gonna happen. That like seals the marriage, so I guess that's why she's doing it. This is the last possible minute. I guess Oom could do this, and it's like somewhat socially acceptable.
Like, I can still be with May till the last second. Before my heart has to fully break.
Yeah, I just think it's hard for her, and that's really what it is more than any other, because that like trumps logic, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But this was wild to watch and be like, what is happening in this scene? Because like in this moment we are Ai, who is super confused, understandably, and so Ai starts aggressively arguing with Oom, and she's like, do you realize what you're like asking me to do here? Because this is evil, is basically how I see this. And once she poses that question to Oom, this line in particular, do you understand what you're asking me to do, really, really hurts, because Oom visibly flinches when I ask her this, because I, understandably, from her point of view, she's basically like, you're asking me to be the bad guy by breaking your side piece's heart. Like, you're a heartless monster who can't do this yourself. Like, what the fuck? And the irony of this is that Oom understands more than I possibly could about what she's really asking Ai to do. Like, Oom is asking Ai to tell May, by showing up, I'm letting you go, and here's the version of me you're actually in love with. That's what Oom is really asking Ai to do. Ai just has no idea that that's what she's being asked to do. She just thinks she's being asked to do this evil thing on her sister's behalf. So it's just the ultimate... So do we. Yeah, but like, again, I have a lot of feelings about Oom. Poor Oom. This must really hurt for her to do. It's the right thing, finally, but like, damn, like my Oom is clearly upset, and you can see it in the scene.
And it's another reason why she is upset at Ai during this wedding. Like, Ai is being so annoyed and annoying to Oom during this wedding.
She really
is. In Oom's head, she's like this ungrateful bitch. But I mean, obviously, she doesn't know what Oom is giving up for her.
Right. But so then Ai's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. She starts to walk away, and what ultimately convinces Ai to go along with the shenanigans is when Oom plays the little sister card, and she's like, well, what if I'm not cashing that check you fucking owe me, and instead I'm asking you to do this as a little sister to big sister. And Ai pauses when Oom poses that statement, and it's very telling that Ai is willing to do anything, even something she considers, quote, evil, to help her younger sister. So it shows that like Ai takes family seriously and takes her duties as big sister incredibly to heart, because that is the thing that convinces her to do this thing.
And she doesn't respond to that. Ai just walks out, and Namtam really takes us on a journey with the facial expressions of Oom afterwards. Mm-hmm. Because you could see she is hurting, but she does pull herself together a little bit. Yeah. And it's less obvious, slightly, that she is upset. And it kind of looks like she's convincing herself that she did the right thing. Like, oh, I can't be upset by this. This is how it is. They will be happy. I'll be happy with Paul. She's still trying to convince herself that this is the life that she will want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, like, it's just when you're not over somebody and then you're like, here you go. Like, that hurts like hell. Like, you know. And like, I like when we get into Oom's stories later and she's basically like, I can't control these feelings. I just have them. And it's really true. Like, when you're going through something, like, as speaking from experience, like, you can't turn it off. It just goes off over time. And it sucks when you're still going through that, like, letting go of somebody stage and, like, you're not emotionally fully healed from it. Even if you've found somebody else, like, it still can linger. And so, like, Oom is the way they wrote Oom is really, really relatable. And so, poor Oom in this scene. Justice for Oom. But anyway, so after Ai storms out, Paul finds Oom in the hallway. Thank God he didn't overhear whatever the hell this is.
Oh my God.
But he can tell something's bothering Oom, because to your point, like, Oom tries to put herself back together, but it's clear she's, like, upset. And it's really evident through this dialogue that they have here that Oom doesn't share everything with Paul, but she's trying to get there with him, and she's like, look, well, I promise I'll tell you everything, you know. But, like, when were you actually going to tell him? Because later we find out that the truth about May and Oom comes out because of May initiated all the stuff with Paul, not because of Oom. So, like, Oom, when were you going to tell Paul?
She'll tell him everything when she's forced to.
Or, like, I wonder if she just still needed more time to, like, move on and heal before she could, like, have the conversation, because she still seems, like, in her feels at this stage, and so it must be
she doesn't want to, like, explain it to him while she's, like, upset about doing it. Like, he can see that she's upset and still in love with her.
Right, exactly. So I think there's two reasons Oom doesn't do that. One, it will hurt her, and two, like, to be emotional in front of Paul while talking about this looks bad, right? Which is what ends up ironically happening, because Oom gets backed into a corner because she's Pluto. Like, she's actually Pluto. She's the real Pluto of the story, which means we love you, Oom. I'm just saying.
It's so layered. This whole story is so layered.
So good. It's so good. It's
like, for every character, there's another layer.
There is.
It's not even just the twins, just May. Like, no, then there's a grandmother layer, and there's so many freaking layers.
So many layers.
It's a freaking croissant.
It is. It's delicious and perfect.
Buttery deliciousness. Okay. So, something that I noticed is when she's with Paul in this hallway, the shot, you get this wide shot of the hallway, and it feels so lonely, even though she has Paul hugging her. And if you notice in there, there's subtle changes in the lighting as you move closer to the camera and, like, further away in the hallway. So in the middle where Paul and Oom are hugging, it's white light. And as you get further away from them, it's blue. And it's almost as if Paul radiates warmth and Oom can focus on that instead of what she's giving up. But if she leaves his side, she will start to remember. And even when she is with him, she still has that sense of loneliness because it isn't truly what she wants. So, like, the blueness, it's just, the shot is great.
Caitlin, your explanation just made me realize that Paul is Oom's Pluto.
Poor Paul, because Paul is fully into. Yeah,
he's her Pluto. She's the galaxy, and he's Pluto to her. Oh shit!
Because I mean, you look at this image.
Yeah, no, you're
it's
right.
It's also like more light on his side too, and
it is.
I have justice for Paul too, which is crazy saying.
Listen. Justice for these characters in the series. The novel's a mess, but these two in the series are... Again, they GMMTV'd these two characters in a way that made me love them. And that's why I love GMMTV.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
We love you.
We love you. All right, after the wedding, we cut back to Ai and MeeMaw. So I decided at this stage to start nicknaming. There's too many grandmothers in all
there
the
are.
time. Yeah, in the Chao Planoy universe specifically, because this grandmother is not in the novels. GMMTV was like, they always got a body count. So they're like, we have to take out some parents and got to give you a grandma. So we get this grandma who's not in the novels. And if you've been here for a while, you know that we like to nickname characters, especially grandmothers. So we're going to have the grandmam from Gap. We're going to have the, Little Nung's grandmother.
Grandmother, yeah.
Grandma Bua, who's perfect. And, she's just Grandma Bua. And then this grandma we're going to call MeeMaw because she gives me MeeMaw energy, where she would, like, sit on the front porch and scold you and stuff. And, like, she just gives me MeeMaw energy. So we're going to call her MeeMaw going forward. That's Grandma. Okay? Just so we're all on the same page.
Has nicknamed. I have accepted. It's MeeMaw.
This is MeeMaw. All right, so Ai and MeeMaw are waiting in the hospital when the surgeons emerge from the operating rooms with news of Paul and Oom. So Paul has passed away, very tragically, and Oom is alive now. So she was dead. They recovered her, and she's stabilized, but she's unconscious at this point because Chao loves her unconscious characters in hospitals. We shouldn't be shocked by this. All right, so MeeMaw collapses into Ai, and Ai, in this moment, becomes the support system for the whole family. And I feel like Ai adopts this role way too easily. I feel like that's second nature to her, to be like, I have to be the strong one for my family all the time, even though no one gives me credit for this. She just, like, is that person in the family.
But she is that person, but she also wants to be seen by her family.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's a huge thing for her. And MeeMaw is leaning on her in this moment, meaning she does see Ai and values her enough to seek her out for comfort. That is a big thing. And even though Ai is hurting, it has to feel like slightly warmth that, like, oh, grandma's hugging me right now. Like, it's so sad that this is what it's taking.
I know.
But we see their relationship struggle with this.
I feel like MeeMaw and Ai are really similar in there. Because, like, think about MeeMaw's situation. Like, she ended up being the sole caregivers of these two children, which she didn't ask to be, but, like, stepped up and did when GMMTV was like, we're going to kill your parents. Like, she became that person. And then, like, here's Ai in the same situation where, like, Oom's incapacitated, grandma is just devastated, and Ai steps up to be the strong one. I feel like they're both the strong one type people. And so sometimes they butt heads because of that, because they're very similar. Which is understandable. Fair. Yeah. All right, so then Oom gets transferred to the ICU when Jan arrives. So we meet Oom's best friend, Jan, and Jan's devastated because Oom finally found somebody who actually loves her, which is, as we'll see, was a quest for poor Oom to find somebody that actually loves her and just her. She finds this person and then loses him on the wedding night. Like, they weren't even married for 24 hours, which is insane, before Paul's dead and, like, Oom's in the ICU. Like, Jan is like, knows Oom's struggle and is like, poor Oom, like, she's so unlucky. Holy shit.
Did they even, like, fully finish the marriage at that point?
I mean, they didn't have the sex, I assume.
No. And apparently that's, like, a big thing. So
you gotta consummate the marriage. That's part of marriage ceremonies.
So, is she married?
That is the question. Is she Oom?
That's the whole question.
Know. Who's who? We don't know. Anyway, so side note, Jan, when I noticed the scene, Jan is wearing all black in this scene, which is interesting. I would assume Jan would have been at the wedding. And then, like, now is suddenly in all black. So I wonder, did she intentionally wear mourning colors to the hospital because she knew about Paul? Like, did they tell her about Paul? Or did she, like, not know and was like, this is bad, let me change it to all black just in case and show up at the hospital? I don't know. I was just curious because I was like, oh, she's wearing mourning colors. Was she invited
to the wedding?
Why would Oom not invite her one friend?
I don't know. Why does Oom do some of the things she does?
Because, like, I mean, Ai is no longer... This was the middle of the night. So, like, Ai is, like... And Grandma were asleep. So, like, the wedding was over. People went home.
Maybe she wore all black to the wedding, too, to mourn her... Oom's relationship with May.
I don't think so. But... That's one theory.
Or she just picks her outfits out for the whole week and it just happened to be all black for after the wedding. And, you know, stranger things have happened, like Ai's twin sister asking her to break up with her ex on her wedding day.
That is weird. But like Jan, when you get to know Jan is like the fortune teller, bubbly. She wears colorful clothing. So like this was not her normal wardrobe. That's what tipped me off that something is weird, because Jan doesn't wear black. So I wonder.
I mean, for her to show up at the hospital, she probably like, oh, I can't be too colorful. Like, it's not a happy moment no matter what has happened.
Right. I wonder if that's why she did it. Anyway, so Jan being here and like saying all this stuff is significant because Jan does know all the details of what's going on with Oom. As we'll find out, Ai and Oom are really not close. Like, you kind of get the glimpse of it now, but they really don't know each other. So then Jan's all upset because her friend's in a coma or whatever. And I is like, listen, bitch, tell me about Oom's side piece. Like, the way she just like cuts off Jan, who's sobbing, to ask this was kind of wild. Like I wasn't being malicious, but the way she's just like, Aunt, she's like, Jan, stop crying. Tell me about this side piece. Like, Ai is so funny. That's what I'm saying.
Ai is the best.
Ai is so funny, but it's kind of understandable that she's kind of like gets straight to the point about this with Jan, because this is Ai's version of grieving, because I think she feels like things are spiraling out of control in her life, and completing this deal for Oom is a way for her to control something. And she mentions like, this is the only way I can like help Oom at this stage, is by like fulfilling her last request basically, and like getting this over with, because like it's weird. And Jan gets all shifty-eyed when Ai brings up the side piece and is like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. And Jan like gives Ai enough details, I imagine, off screen to get Ai to the side piece's residence, okay?
But did Oom give her stipulations of like things you can say, or like, I don't know.
I don't know that Jan and Oom ever had a conversation about this on screen. I mean, about like roping Ai into this. But although like Jan did know that May was in love with Ai and not Oom. Like, Jan did know that part. But I don't think she knew this deal that Oom struck with May.
No. Maybe she's just like, I don't want to be involved this much,
yes,
so I'm just going to tell you the least amount.
This is all weird. This is weird. Right.
Okay. I wonder if she's like, shit, Oom, like, what the hell?
Right. So, like, Jan knows everything except that part, I would assume. That conversation with Oom and May. But anyway, so, like, Ai arrives at the side piece's house, which is a fucking mansion, multi-million-dollar mansion. Because, of course, Oom only dates people with hella money. Like, she was dating the owner of an airline, and then, like, who the fuck is this person? Like, poor Ai. Like, to be insecure when it compared to your sister, and then be like, of course, you're dating another wealthy as fuck human being. So I, in this regard, fully cosplayed Oom, but since they're not children, she can't get away with a uniform. She has to like wear Oom's clothing. So she shows up in this like vest jumpsuit dealie and heels. And like, while she's dressed like Oom, she does fail pretty hard at trying to cosplay Oom in clothing that clearly make her uncomfortable, because heels are fucking stupid. And Ai doesn't know how to walk in them, which is valid.
I second that. Heels are stupid. For us.
They're stupid. They're dangerous. I'll just say that.
They'd make your foot go in an unnatural position.
Well, okay, so here's a fun fact. In America, at least, once COVID happened and everybody was in lockdown, ERs noticed there was a significant decrease in number of women coming in with like sprained ankles and shit because of heels. They are dangerous.
Shit.
No, like, it's a fact. Like, they're dangerous. So anyway, then eventually the maid comes outside because there's cameras everywhere. And the maid's like, Oom's here. Why is Oom being weird as fuck? So the maid comes outside and welcomes Ai. And she's like, hey, Oom, it's been a while. Let's go wait in the reading room like we always do. So we learned in this little sentence that like Oom has not been by in a hot minute despite anything. And Ai's face is so fucking funny in this scene because she looks so nervous and just like shell-shocked. Like, what is even happening? Who is my sister? Like, this poor girl. And she's trying her best. And she's like, okay, I guess I'll go with you, like always. And Ai follows the maid into the house. And they kind of like weave through the outside and eventually get to the door. And like, Ai is just like taking in the surroundings while trying not to fall over because of the heels. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I love this scene.
It's so fucking funny. Like, good job, Nam. Who's probably an expert at walking in heels and was doing this, and this was just so funny. Like, Ai just keeps falling all over the place. It's so realistic. Like, I love it. It's hilarious. But like, Ai has no self-awareness because she's like obviously has never been here before, and the maid has eyeballs and is like, she's being so weird. Because then they get into the house and Ai can take the heels off because no shoes in the house, which must have been great. But like the way she creeps around the house, it's clear she's never been here before, and the maid is just like, it's that way. like Ai's like, I know that. I know that. So eventually Ai makes it into the reading room, and first impression for me when I was watching this is that this room, the way it's decorated, reads like old money. Like whoever lives here comes from money, but it's almost like the room is like cosplaying a certain time period. Like it looks impersonal. Okay, it looks like somebody was ordered to decorate this room to be like show off wealth, and that was the only instruction, because there's like items in there that give off the impression of wealth. Like there's a grand piano, there's a globe, there's a spiraling staircase, a phonograph, like things that scream we have money, but there's no personality in the room. Like you can't get an impression of who lives here other than like a wealthy person lives here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't get that when like I first saw it, but as you say that, like I do see that. It's just the way it is decorated. It's not like sparse like the affair house.
That's like modern. So that's what I mean by like, that's modern wealth. That's that modern minimalist thing. True. This is designed like old money, where it's like we have these things that only wealthy people could have acquired, you know? Whereas the affair house is the modern wealth, where it's like very sterile and just huge and has all the technology in it. Fair. Like a phonograph. Who the fuck's using phonographs? That's ancient. You know what I mean? Grand pianos, also like ancient. Globes. Who has globes anymore?
Lawyery, because they're
old money.
They're like very much you like live you know about like history and have like this random
if you were to put this in context of like the United States, if you were to like, I would expect to see this stuff in a plantation house like now, because this is like it's generational wealth. We acquired these items back in the 1800s, you know what I mean? Like that old money versus like new money, which is the affair house, which is like a tech bro that blows up and buys the affair house. Like that's what I mean by it's different, which is true because May comes from a generationally wealthy family, so like that makes sense. But like you don't get a sense of who even lives here. You're just like, oh, somebody with money. But despite that, I think like all I have to say is like this is the last place on earth I would ever want to be. I, who like is not a fancy person, doesn't even like wearing heels, which is like fancy women. She doesn't want to be here. This is not where she wants to be. She's not comfortable in this kind of scenario. But despite this like generic wealthy kind of thing going on with the decorum of the room, there is warmth to the room because the golden lights and the candles make it feel warm. It's not personality, but it feels kind of warm. And I think that kind of draws Ai in.
That's also what drew me in this scene. Because I'm like, oh, I kind of feel warm in this scene. Like I could be comfortable here. And maybe it's the candles that probably, May added and is the reason why there's so many candles, you know. But also lesbians and candles in Thai girl love shows.
The Lexa Effect.
And it may just because we have been watching shows with that modern money decor that is colder. But this seems like you could relax here more, in my mind.
Yeah, we'll come to find out that the candles are scented because it helps May navigate, which is a part of her kind of dealy. But anyway, so Ai is drawn into the room like a moth to a flame, basically. And now that she's here, Ai is like, what kind of dude is named May? Like, what the fuck? And the fact that she asks this tells me that, like, okay, so Jan, who had a conversation off screen with Ai, giving her details, conveniently left that part out of the discussion. Like, everybody's conveniently leaving Ai out of the loop. Like, Jan. Like, I would expect Jan to tell her.
Maybe she assumed as soon as she said May that I would understand. Because, I mean, I know they have, like, nicknames over there, and I don't know if there are instances where May could be used for someone who identifies as
also,
male.
like,
or...
why we gotta gender names?
That's true,
could just be a modern nickname, like, whatever.
Maybe he'll last. Maybe he won't.
Maybe this says more about Ai than it does about May the man, you know?
Yeah, it does. It says a lot that she assumed.
That.
But,
like, also, Jan. What the fuck did Jan even tell Ai? She's like, here's the address, Ai. Good luck.
I like, told her know nothing. That scene. I want to see the conversation.
Right. I want that conversation. But anyway, so curious, Ai gravitates to one of the scented candles. And this is a scene that's going to parallel the finale, but with May in Ai's place. So this was a nice bookend that they put in very subtly. So Ai leans in to smell one of the candles and kind of like savors this moment. And then May, at the same time, is starting to descend down the staircase. And when she gets close enough on the second landing, May says, Oom. And when Ai hears this, she, like, her eyes shoot open, she pivots 180 degrees, and then she sees May for what she thinks is the first time.
For the first time in forever.
Literally. And it was in this moment that I realized she done fucked up, like, hugely, because she looks stunned for just a lot of reasons. Well, that we'll get into. But for, like, who's this dude? And then here's this, like, beautiful woman descending the staircase. And we as the audience are kind of like, in the scene where we're seeing May for the first time, and we're like, so why did Oom leave her? Like, why did Oom leave her? I don't get it.
Seriously, what the hell are you thinking?
What the hell?
Were you married off? Like, what is happening?
Seriously, what is happening? So May slowly makes her way down the staircase, and she's, like, staring towards Ai, like, the entire time. And Ai, for the entirety of the scene, does not take her eyes off of May. Like, particularly her face, but, like, she does not take her eyes off of May the whole fucking time. Because her jaw's on the floor. She's like, what the fuck? Not only is this weird that I'm here to break up with my two-timing sister's whatever side piece, because who just got married, she's this beautiful woman that nobody, Oom or Jan, told me. Like, nobody warned her. So she just, like, steps into this scenario and it's like, what the fuck? And then also to couple that, in the novel, Chao makes a big point to be like, I was considered the more beautiful of the two sisters. And I don't know that physically that's super true. As you kind of saw when they were kids, like, Ai is charming and attracts people versus Oom is more like cold, reserved kind of thing. So I had a ton of boyfriends. Like, she was just breaking hearts left and right in the book, and was basically like, she's like, I never got further than, like, kissing them. And then I'd be like, this is over because I feel nothing for you, basically. So she's never really had romantic feelings in a big way towards people. It was like attraction, and then was like, I feel nothing.
That's a good point, because that is, like, attractiveness too, like, your personality.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. She's charming for sure. And, like, compared to Oom, who's more quiet. But when she meets May, she has feelings for the first, like, romantic feelings. So, like, that is what's the other thing that's, like, causing Ai to, like, not freeze, because she's having feelings and just don't know what to do with them. Because she's never had them before. This is another big Nung situation where you're like, this character's having feelings they've never had, and they're 30 and they don't know what to do with the feelings. But instead of being a child about it, Ai just freezes. And then, okay, so then May keeps making her way down the staircase, and, like, again, shout out to the cinematography, because one of my favorite shots in the whole show is when May makes it to, like, almost that final flight down the stairs, and the way they have them framed is such a beautiful use of the rule of thirds, because you have Ai on the right-hand side, on the, like, the third on the right-hand side, okay, and then you have May and the third on the left-hand side, and you have, like, the distance between them in the composition is connected by the staircase, like, connecting them, so your Ai will kind of, like, connect them naturally by the way the staircase is pointed. And with the depth of field, it gives you, like, Ai in the foreground, May in the, like, background. Thank you. I was like, what's the
background? But the background's in the focus.
Yeah, exactly. And May is what's in focus. And like hang this picture in the Louvre because it's just so beautiful and the way it's lit. And there's a fucking window there and they still got the lighting down. Like, great job, guys.
The lighting's genius with
so good. Everything about this scene is beautiful. And other thing I love is just, again, what the composition, the way the staircase is kind of framing everything. It makes it look like the staircase is leading May directly to Ai by the way they position them. And like metaphorically, this is like the last steps for May on the path to Ai, which if you've seen it, you know she's been on for literal years. And like here it is. It's like that last few steps before she gets the thing she wants. And it's like, and things are lining up, right? The orbit's lining up or whatever. Like it's such a good shot and very like metaphorical. And I love it.
Also, as we see May walking down the stairs, it's a static shot. But when we go back to I almost said Oom. This is not Oom, Caitlin. Apparently I was fooled enough. When we get back to I, the shots are pushing in on her and getting closer onto her face. Which one, it's like kind of May's point of view because she's getting closer to I, but also it's the way that they're having the audience get connected closer to I as well because we're seeing her emotions more. It's more intimate with that character. So we see how much this is impacting her by us getting closer to her as well.
Yeah, the way this scene was shot and choreographed was so good because it's a big moment. So like they did a good job with all the way they shot all of these parts. But back to I being hilarious. So poor May keeps calling out Oom, and I, who's gay panicking so badly she can't speak, does not respond to this woman we find out is blind. So like, I's a mess in this scene. She's such a mess.
And after she first asked, Oom, is that you? We cut to a side profile of Oom. So we aren't getting the full image of I, just like May isn't seeing. I mean, she can't see, but she's not seeing all of I because she thinks it's May. Or, at least that's what I thinks and we think at that moment. And, but side profile wise, it's easier to mistake I for Oom.
It's also easier to mistake I for Oom if I's not speaking because she just looks like Oom, but May can't see. So anyway, then we get this other moment that I love where May makes it down the stairs and approaches I. And May, who cannot see, is just following the path of the staircase, like directly to its endpoint. But I, instead of meeting her there, starts circling around May. And I love this choreography because think about their paths to each other, that orbit thing that Chao likes to talk about. So like for May, it's a direct path just to get to I because she knows what she wants and like here it is, she's going to go get it. So she's directly going towards I in a straight line versus I, who's like circling around May because like that's been her orbit back to May. Basically, they met when they were younger and then I kind of like fucked off and like has been orbiting May without realizing it and like is on more of a circular path to get to May, which is May has been like directly trying to get I now that she knows who I is. So like I love the way they kind of show them do that, and it's choreographed like a dance, which I love the way they like approach each other.
Going back to the orbits, something else that I remembered about my Pluto research is that Pluto's orbit is different than all the other planets too because it goes out more and comes around. So I think that's also playing on the fact that her sister was orbiting closer to May, but she was getting further out because she's also not close with her sister, which was creating even more of a distance. So she was all the way out there waiting 248 years to come back around. It's so layered the more you think about it.
Yes, it's incredible.
I was like, this is definitely useful if I look more into Pluto. There's so much to learn about Pluto because Pluto has a history, a story, and is still going in all of our hearts. I mean, it exists still.
And Pluto is still going in this series. So I and May finally approach each other. And then Ai has to do her little circular thing, and then she finally says May's name out loud. So then May redirects towards the voice and is like, okay, there you are, and approaches Ai for the first time. And May, who isn't looking directly at Ai because she can't see, gets into Ai's personal space and starts like touching her. Like it starts with her hands, up her arms, that kind of thing. And Ai, who has been staring at May's face the whole time, doesn't react in a way that conveys she finds anything off initially. Like in her brain, I imagine it's just gay thoughts where she's like, maybe Oom's into this. Also, like, how is my sister dating a woman, like a really hot rich woman? Like, what the fuck? Like, she's just too many gay thoughts, and then it doesn't understand what's happening.
Thoughts.
No thoughts.
This is a lot to throw at her all at once, because it's not just her feelings and what's going on. It's like, it's Oom's, like, what's going on? Like, my sister had a double life. What is my sister's queer? What? What am I?
There's so much.
What the hell is happening?
There's so much happening in Ai's brain.
And then there's another person coming towards me.
Then as May starts feeling her up a little bit more, Ai starts being like, wait, what is happening? And she starts putting things more together. And if you watch Ai's face really closely, her face conveys more confusion and curiosity than anything else. So I personally didn't get any pity from Ai in this scene, which is important later, at least from my read.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because, like, I think she's putting together this woman can't see, and I just don't see any pity on her face. She's just confused.
Maybe she hasn't been able to process it yet either. But yeah.
But that's important because that's a insecurity May has, and like I don't get that from Ai at all, really ever. All right. So now the rest of the scene. So I'm going to continue reading the rest of this scene from Ai's point of view, because later on in another episode we'll get May's. So just for here, I'm going to do the Ai's point of view, as like May is like feeling her up and shit. So Ai at this point feels guilty as fuck that she's cosplaying Oom, because May seems genuinely excited that Oom is back and with her, because it's been a while. Here's Oom, and May is just like lighting up like a star in the sky. And I already felt awful at the thought of breaking somebody's heart for her sister. But now after meeting this angelic human being, I think Ai feels even more guilty than she did before about what she's here to actually do, this stupid mission her sister sent her on.
I wonder if that's why they had them separated beforehand too, because it's not as weird that May is really excited to see Oom.
It's weird no matter what, but yeah, it does lend credence to it. You're right. You're not wrong. All right, so as Ai is like feeling guilty as fuck, and May starts tracing her face now. And she's like, oh, it's really you. It's your face, it's your eyes, it's your lips. And Ai starts gay panicking the closer May gets to her lips. And then I love May's power move, because for May, it's been 84 years. So she's like, touches Ai's lips and then touches her fingers that she like starts kissing Ai without Ai's consent, really. She just like touches her lips and then like touches her own lips and then smiles because it's been 84 years. And May's like, yay! But Ai's just like, what are these feelings I'm having? What is happening?
But if you really just like stare at, Namtam's lips in this scene, as May touches Ai's lips, there is a slight twitch to her lips that is almost as if she's smiling as well, like, oh, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
But it's gone really fast, like, as fast as it can.
It's like the electroshock of, like, her heart skipped a beat or something, and she's like, what is this? Because Ai's never felt this before. And so Ai's feeling so many things in the scene that she's just never felt before, and is just, like confused, trying to fight them, and then eventually she's just like, fuck it. Is basically the scene if you had to summarize it. But we're not going to summarize it. We're going to keep going. All right. So I'm pretty sure, like I said, Ai's having all these new feelings that are really big in this moment, and she has no idea what to do with any of this. So that's partially why she's very frozen and just kind of like lets May do whatever. So May does whatever. And then May's like, okay, cool. This is the preamble to what I'm about to do by touching your face and your lips. So May grabs Ai by the neck and then does the forehead touch, because are they queer women if they don't touch foreheads?
No.
They always have to do that.
The first thing you have to do.
You have to
tell someone you're into them.
As a woman to another woman.
As a woman.
Yes. In a television show. You have to do that. Okay.
Yes.
And then this point, her brain starts running with this moment and just waxes poetic about this moment. And on the first watch, because she's like, then she pulled me in and our foreheads touched. And it's like this magical moment, the way Ai is recounting this. And on the first watch, I thought this was just like Ai's inner monologue in this moment. And that Ai turns into a poet when she's with May, when she's gay panicking more specifically, which it might be true, honestly. But I think the voiceover, again, is a continuation of what GMMTV established in the beginning, which is this is Ai's journal entry of this moment with May and how she remembers it. So to your point, it's very dreamy the way she remembers it and wrote it down in her journal. But it is super vivid because this was a big moment for Ai, right? And basically, if you summarize it, she remembers it at this really perfect moment where like two became one, basically is how she remembers that. The peak day panic, though, however, occurs when May kisses her. And basically, Ai opens her eyes in a I came to lesbian Jesus moment. And that's when the feelings really escalate. And it does take her a few heartbeats of May just like kissing Ai for Ai to eventually like just give in to the feelings and just start kissing May back. And the way she describes the kiss in the journal entry is really interesting. Like, obviously she's like, wow, May's really into this kiss and like was exploring me everywhere and this kind of stuff. But then she also notes that May was kissing her, quote, as if she was afraid we might break. So I think it's interesting that initially here, Ai even senses May's, like she senses the love behind the kiss, which is intentional on May's part, but also she senses the fear that May has of losing, quote, Oom in this moment, because May is actually feeling all of those things. And it's really interesting that Ai picks that up immediately. Like she's really in tune with what May is feeling and conveying, which I thought was really interesting.
It definitely, and it makes it a deeper connection between the two of them because this person's instantly understanding her, which means they're connected in so many ways and like they're made for each other, because that's hard to do, like figure out how someone else is feeling right away when you're first meeting them.
Yeah. It was really interesting. Ai picks up a lot in just their first meeting, air quotes. All right, so Ai gives into the big feelings that she's having and makes out with May enthusiastically until her brain reboots and is like, isn't this your sister's girlfriend you're making out with right now? And then Ai's like, oh God, she got weird. So then she physically pushes May away, okay, to stop the kiss that's happening. And this little simple move that she does foreshadows their entire relationship, which is that deception and Oom create a gap between them. There's the gap. Chao, got your gap. And Ai will give up what she wants, which was to kiss May in that moment, for her sister Oom. So we get more establishment of them and Ai as a character. And poor May, who's been waiting 84 years to kiss Ai, is a little dejected that I didn't want to kiss her. Or did she? Because she asked, she's like, oh, May, you don't want to make out with me anymore? And Ai's like, no, I did. And then May's like, so you did? And then Ai's like, well, yeah. Wait, no. Wait, yes. And just the way she goes through that thought process, it was remarkable by the end where she like is truthful and she's like, no, I did. And she looks surprised at herself. Like Ai is like, wow, no, I did want to kiss you. That's weird. That's weird. Gay panic.
But it's also interesting that that one moment with May made her lose her focus of she's supposed to be Oom in this moment.
Yeah, no. This is one of the very first instances of Ai breaking character as Oom to just act on what Ai wants. But it was the thought of Oom that made her stop what Ai wants to like go back to Oom. And then very desperately in the scene, she's like, she's like, I gotta get back to the mission. She's like, we gotta talk about you, May. I'm here to talk about you. Let's go do that. Let's talk. Just talk.
Talk. Oh my gosh. I just have to say, speaking of talking, and we're going to end this episode with part 1.
We sure are.
So I will leave you all with this. if they would have just talked right now about literally everything they both know, this show wouldn't exist. Well, there'd still be like some other stuff going, but yeah.
I'm glad they did it.
I'm glad because this show is great. This show is so good, and I can't wait to get more into it. We're still so surface level right now. We've so many layers to get through. It's many layers, onion, and we're gonna be crying.
Much crying.
Let's be real. I will probably cry at some point.
Yes, Caitlin will cry. Just be ready for that.
I don't know when though.
I don't know if you thought this, but we're ending an episode here. Any Taylor Swift songs for part 1? I have one, but it's for part 2 more than part 1.
I don't think I have any. I will do some homework for the rest of the episode because I was not prepared for Taylor Swift for the first time.
Damn it, Caitlin.
So unlike me,
get in
right?
the comments.
Pooja, we need you.
All right,
Pooja will give us like a whole list.
Yes, Pooja will give us a whole list. We are confident of that. Anyway, so
I do have a word though to give them.
I have a Taylor Swift song for the entire series.
Never mind.
And if you go over to our YouTube, you'll find the edit we threw together.
Theora did not just throw it together. Hold on. All right, you know what? I'm going to introduce this because
it's so good.
I have a whole thing to say. All right, so Theora made an edit for Pluto to Taylor Swift's song "Say Don't Go."
God, I love that song. Yes,
so good. I just want to make sure that's the title.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to give Theora recognition for this because I taught Theora how to edit.
She did
2 years ago, right now,
mm-hmm.
and very basic. Like I taught her how to cut, how to delete, and this. And she took this and she ran with it. Not only has she got the like technical capabilities of editing down, the storytelling of this edit is impeccable. Like she cuts it with the beat. She uses B-roll on top of the words. She has a natural ability to edit, and a little me is jealous because like damn girl, she's good at everything.
That's not true.
First of all, she's amazing at this podcast and analyzing this shit. She teaches me something every day, and I hope you appreciate this as much as I do. But if you just love the show, go check out that video because Theora did put a lot of work into it, and it is great. Anything else you want to say about that?
It basically recaps the entire series, and I did try to mimic what they did in the show, which like it does switch point of views, like with the way I edited it. Like it goes from like May to I to May to Oom, and so like I did try to intentionally like give point of view throughout like the whole thing because it's just so good. And like that's one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs ever. So I think it was a Vault song. So it wasn't on like the original album, and I really love it. I think for Speak Now.
I thought it was 1989.
1989. Sorry, I get those two. I get the Vault songs confused.
It sounds like
it's 1989.
From
you're right. 1989. It's 1989, and basically, it's like the crux of the song is essentially like Taylor Swift is singing it, and basically is in love with this person, and is like, if you told me not to go, I would never leave you kind of thing. But you are denying me that, essentially. And so it's very much like May and I. And then later, it's just like it really gets into like Oom shit where she's like, you made me want you. And then like it really like turns into Oom's story because I have a lot of feelings about Oom. But anyway, go check that out.
Yeah, you can tell.
I'll link it. I love that song. And I was dying to make some kind of edit.
Anyway, the edit also really reminds you of the fact that Namtan is brilliant at crying. Like, oh my god, she's tears streaming. She's literally soaked with her tears. That's insane.
Yeah. Oh my god, no. The one scene, I can't wait till we get towards the end where she was like, at the end where they should leave May, and the way she was silent crying in the room. Oh my, that broke my heart. The way she like did that scene was just like full on.
It was amazing.
Like, waterfall of tears. It was crazy. In film too. Cannot _film.
Yes. Yeah,
in
film
episode
did
11.
amazing as well.
Yeah, that must have been really a hard day for her filming, or days. I don't know how many days it was, like, filming for her, because, like, damn, her breakdown scene was very powerful. Anyway, so as you can imagine, there's a lot to say about the show. It's only been 2 hours. We just did part 1. So we're going to be here a while. So we'll be back to finish out the rest of episode 1. And until let us know what you thought in the comments. What?
Yes, but especially speaking of comments.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
I do have something that I'm kind of excited about. So
what is it?
If you made it this far in this episode, we want to know, here's a word that we want you to use either in a comment on the YouTube version, or you can comment on Spotify as well, I believe.
Yes, you can.
Yes. Or even in a review for the podcast, wherever you can leave a review. You can send this on social media too. Anywhere you can, just use this word without looking up the spelling. That's usually how it goes too, but you can probably figure this one out. All right, so today's secret word is Plutoed. And this is a real word.
Oh,
this is a real word.
I've been Plutoed by GMMTV.
This is American Dialect Society's word of the year in 2006. The year that Pluto was taken away its planet designation. And the word Plutoed means to demote or devalue someone or something.
Well,
so
you
Pluto
guys.
was no, I think this was good though, because it's Plutoed, like, yeah, they devalued and demoted it
for no reason.
So now it is living on, like, the legacy is here.
It is.
This is its legacy, is to be like reminding of people to don't take what you have for granted. Yes. And I think it is a beautiful story in general, because Pluto, while it has a terrible fate, it has taught everybody something. It is now, everyone knows about Pluto. Again, that's what the excerpt in the book was saying too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's it's a bittersweet, beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well said, Caitlin. We love you, Pluto. We are Team Pluto forever, so.
If you can't tell.
You can have your own opinions about that. We just will think you're wrong. But anyway, so that's our opinion. All right, so that's been Pluto part 1. Hope you got Plutoed in a good way by listening to this. We'll be back next time to conclude out the rest of episode 1 and continue on this journey. And until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
And gay it up all over the place.
Bye.
Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.